Afternoon. This is Doug Browne from Farm Bureau, here to tell you still more about the no-fault reform. If you're a client of mine or if you've called in to request, you are in the process of seeing or being sent a survey to aid us as we're addressing the different aspects of no-fault reform. Kind of a tough situation here because there's so many different aspects to it, but let's talk real quick about some of the major concepts. The first concept, and very much a major concept here, is the main PIP options that you're faced with. As I've discussed a million times, and you probably know by now, PIP stands for Personal Injury Protection. It is the medical component of your auto insurance. Dan Gilbert and his group of people, legislators, senators alike, all faced this situation about a year ago when they were trying to devise a way to reduce Michigan insurance premiums, and personal injury protection is the first thing that was on their list. The issue here is to give you a choice as to whether you want unlimited, as everyone in the state has up until this point, or if you want to reduce your coverage to $500,000 or $250,000, those being your three main options. And of course, there's always a miscellaneous bracket where different amounts come into play. The miscellaneous has to do with Medicare, Medicaid, and also if you've got a qualifying health plan and you're willing to take some risk with you and your family and opt out completely on the personal injury protection, the unlimited PIP protection that we've enjoyed up until this point. The next thing we're going to look at here is going to be bodily injury liability. Now, personal injury protection is a first-party coverage. If you're injured in an auto accident, I, as the carrier, are going to pay you as my insured. However, with the new laws, we're going to see a lot more liability emerging, a lot more lawsuits, a lot more issues where someone is suing someone else because they didn't have the coverages that they may have thought they had or hoped that they had, or maybe they got online with Progressive or Geico and opted for nothing to save $12. Who can say? In any case, the bodily injury limit is where you're going to pick up your protection in case you were to be sued. The new state minimum limits are $50,000 per person and $100,000 per accident. So if you're in an accident and someone finds you liable, the most that the insurance company is going to carry for you is going to be the $50,000 for each one of those other people and $100,000 for that entire accident. Those are the minimums. The state recommended limits are $250,000 personal protection per person and $500,000 per accident. That'll give you a little bit more of a backstop in case they're coming after you, but we still feel as if we want to take that a step further, and I'll tell you why. The Farm Bureau recommended limits and the Doug Browne Agency recommended limits are $500,000 in personal protection and $500,000 in personal protection per accident. The reason for this is that unless you're 24 years old without two nickels to rub together, I'm going to want you to consider an umbrella policy. And that umbrella policy is going to protect not only your net worth, but also your future. The reason I say this is that the umbrella policy adds an extra $1 million of coverage on top of these limits I just described a moment ago. That umbrella policy and its extra $1 million of protection starts at $210 per year annually for the entire family and moves up a little bit as we add things like additional drivers and underage 25 drivers and multiple cars or second homes or boats or toys, things like that. And all in all, we find that those figures are competitive to the market or even below what the market's showing, whereby Farm Bureau's umbrellas are going to give you a better value. So looking at all these concepts together, one of the big things we're faced with is how many different adjustments we can make and what the cost is going to be. Oh, it looks like I put my slides in the wrong order. So let's back up to this one real quick. Potential gaps from no-fault reform. Identifying potential coverage gaps. And this is a key issue because in the old days, in other words, everything from 1973 till now, most people were covered either by their own policy or their spouse's policy or someone's policy in the household, and failing that, then they were covered by the vehicle's owner or the vehicle's driver, what have you. Well, the vehicle's gone away at this point in time to where the coverage, the only coverage that you can derive is either from your own policy or your spouse's policy. And that's why all these questions that you see here need to be asked. And as I'm conducting my surveys, as I'm conducting my reviews with people, I'm saying, what is your household situation? Are there kids there? Are there cars there that are perhaps not covered? And anything that's a little bit out of the ordinary, the nuclear family, if you will, owes us a conversation so we can determine if there's additional risk that we need to protect you for. Again, this is a responsibility where we need to know if there's any unique situation so that we can protect you properly. With all those three main topics, as we discussed, the first thing is going to be your decisions for the personal injury protection and your decision for the bodily injury liability. Again, personal property, personal injury is to protect you. Bodily injury is to protect you from someone else's lawsuit. And finally, the third item, very important, your responsibility. Whether I'm your agent or it's someone else, let them know what your personal at-home situation is. It could make a big difference as you're protecting your family and guiding them on through the future. I thank you for your help, and give us a call. The number over here, 248-486-1831, with any questions you might have. We are scheduling meetings right now, and if your policy is renewing in July or August, you're on our list to be contacted immediately because of the number of people we're working with. We'll be doing the September and October discussions, surveys, reviews as we get a little bit further down the road. Thank you for listening. This is Doug Browne from Farm Bureau. Have a great day.